Hi friends, this is Revati from the 1993 batch. So thanks a lot for giving me the chance to speak to all of you, and I hope that we will be able to learn something that we can actually use. So today's topic was about unleashing the inner potential using NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It is something which I started off 15 years back, and right from about 15 years back I have been using NLP techniques for different aspects. But the way it has been most useful to me has been in two areas. One is I worked to actually change my career from being a mechanical engineer, having worked that way for about 6 years, to moving into training and leadership coaching. And two, I had to really work hard to actually lose weight about 3 years back for various reasons that I gained weight. Now, I think these are two areas, professional as well as health, where NLP has helped me a lot. And I hope that some of these techniques will also help all of you and some of you. So, I want to begin by saying that a lot of us want to do a lot of things in life. And however, there are many things which stop us. There are many thoughts which stop us from doing it. So, what are these thoughts and how can we actually overcome these thoughts? So, NLP helps in that. So what is NLP? It's called Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's not nonlinear programming. It's not natural language processor, which are also correct, but it's Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Now the word neuro itself talks about the neurons, the nerve cells. The word linguistics talks about language, and programming is something that we all do day in and day out if we are in the IT field, which is coding or programming. So Neuro-Linguistic Programming is all about how can I program my brain cells in the language that it understands so that I can get it to achieve what I want to achieve. Or how can I program somebody else's brain cells in the language that they understand so that I can get them to achieve what they want to achieve, or maybe what you want them to achieve. So in that aspect, NLP covers two areas. It talks about personal excellence, where you can enhance yourself and your achievements using the programming for yourself, or it also talks about professional excellence, where you can use the same with other people and you could actually achieve some results with other people. So today our focus is more on the personal aspect. If I and when I want to use NLP for my personal gain, personal benefits, how do I go ahead and do that? A little bit of history for those who are really interested in knowing and who want to understand the credibility. There are about 6 to 7 names very popular with NLP. It was researched by two people, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who saw 3 psychologists way in the early 1970s. 3 psychologists, Milton Erickson, Virginia Satir, and Fritz Perls, who were very successful with their patients by using certain mind techniques, and they put together a structure of magic books which talked about using these techniques to achieve any kind of results with anyone. And Anthony Robbins, Susan Knight, and William Horton, 3 people, 1 from the US and 2 from the UK, have then taken this forward and popularized NLP extremely. Today, it's almost used as a household name in anyone who has been through any kind of a spiritual or psychological or emotional training program or a process lab. So with this little bit of a knowledge, NLP has a lot of jargon. There are a lot of big words. For example, there are words like pattern interrupt. There are words like representational systems. There are words like sensory acuity. There are words like submodalities and modalities. But having said all of that, neuro-linguistic programming is also something very simple. So I'm going to try today to not to talk a single jargon, but to maybe give us 5 techniques that we can use by which maybe I can achieve a few things much more successfully. So the 5 techniques we're going to cover are: 1. We're going to talk about what we call beliefs of excellence. This is one of the pillars of NLP. It's called beliefs of excellence. We're going to talk about one belief that will really help us to achieve a lot of things and how to do that. 2, we're going to talk about a technique that's called reframing, and along with that there is an addended technique that's called relabeling, and we're going to talk how we can use these to maybe change the approach about how we think about something. We're going to cover an aspect of outcomes thinking, which in the simple language is also called goal setting. But we're not going to talk about how to set goals. We're going to look at one specific point called evidence in outcome thinking and how NLP helps us to not get demotivated when we are not able to reach a certain result. We're going to cover one technique that's more on a psychological basis, which I will take you through, and those who are online or those who are watching the video later can in fact go through the process that we call a switch technique. And we're going to see how to use the switch technique to actually achieve some of our results. Last but not least, we're also going to try and see something that we call NLC, which is called Neurological Levels of Change. And let's see how we can actually use these to help us grow. So let's look at the first one. When we say beliefs of excellence, so we have beliefs that help us excel and we have beliefs that demotivate us and don't let us go forward in life. I look very fat, I don't look good was a belief that I had that never worked for me. I'm not very creative in what I do. Maybe I can't achieve too much in this is a belief that stops us in succeeding a lot professionally. I hope that my kids will really love me. I hope that I'm liked by people. I don't know if I'm liked by people. We have a lot of beliefs that limit ourselves and that stop ourselves. And these are negative thoughts that constantly go through our minds. Now it's easy to say, don't think negative. Extremely difficult to practice because they're just waiting out over there to keep popping in. So NLP says, so let them be. You can't do anything about them. Of course, there are techniques to overcome limiting beliefs, but we will not be looking at them today. But NLP says, make sure you have certain beliefs of excellence or positivity. And there is one that I would love for all of you and me, all of us to take away today and always remember it and practice it. This belief of excellence is called, you always have all the resources available right within you. Let me repeat that. You always have all the resources available right within you. So many times we think, I don't have the resources to achieve this. Some of them could be tangible resources like money. We're talking about physical activities. Like if I want to write something right now and I don't have a pen, right? I don't have a pen. I cannot say the pen is available within me, right? That sounds very stupid, sounds very foolish. So there are some tangible resources which obviously we need to get in the physical world. However, it is talking about intangible resources, things like confidence, things like faith, resources like courage, resources like determine. How many times have some of you told anybody, my problem, I am not a very methodical guy. Or you told somebody, I just can't do anything on the spot of the moment. I have to plan for it, obviously. How many people say, I just can't take too many risks. I'm not a very risk-oriented person. How many of you have ever stopped yourself from doing things by saying, I just don't have the qualities required for this. I can't do this. The word I cannot do this is what this particular belief targets. You have all the resources right within you. There is no belief, there is no skill, there is no attitude that you do not have. In fact, let me give you an example of how this was proven once. Richard Bandler, who, like I said, was one of the two founders of NLP. John Grinder was a linguist and Richard Bandler was a psychologist. Richard Bandler one day was giving a talk in front of 3,000 people. And he made this statement, you always have all the resources in you. And he then asked the audience, is there anyone here who doesn't have a resource, that they're very sure they don't have a resource in them, right? And there's this frail old lady, not really old, frail little lady of maybe about 30 years old in the third row in the audience of 3,000 people, who slowly raises her hand very hesitatingly and very shakingly, says like, yes. And he asked her, what is it that you feel you don't have at all? She said, confidence. I don't have confidence. Right from childhood, I've been told I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do anything, and it has demotivated me, and I just don't have the confidence to do anything that I want to do. I do things, but I'm never confident about them. So you're wrong. I don't have confidence in me. I've never experienced it. So Richard Bandler smiles at her, and Bandler asks her to come on stage She says no. Obviously, she's not confident. He cajoles her, he coaxes her, the people next to her says, go, go, go. You push volunteers, right? And finally, she comes up on stage. He makes her sit in front of the entire audience. And he asks her a simple question. So you've never felt confidence? And she said, no. Well, sometime in your life, ma'am, maybe in your childhood, in your school days, some incident, one exam, one task, somewhere you might have felt confidence. See, this is what this belief talks about. If you go back to the last 15, 20, 30, 40, 70 years of your life, wherever you are today, if you reflect every single incident, you would have definitely used every resource somewhere or the other at least once. Now, this lady, true to how maybe you would answer if you were in my session, would say, no, sir, confidence is one thing I have never used. Come on, Bandler said, I don't believe you. Now, imagine her shock. 3,000 people, and she somehow or the other mustered her energy to come up over there. And he tells her, I don't believe you. How can he say this? So she gets irritated. Of course, how can you say this? I've never felt confident. You have to believe me. He says, no, I am positive you must have felt it somewhere, right? No, I'm telling you once, I'm telling you again, I'll tell you 10 times. I've never felt confidence. How many times do I have to tell you? He said, are you sure you've never felt confidence? And she said, yes, I'm sure. Are you confident about it? And she says, yes. And then she stops herself and everybody in the audience starts laughing and clapping. And she realized that, oh, okay, I know what confidence feels like. So she says, I've never felt confidence, but she's confident about it. Well, that's confidence too. So here's the key. She knew how to be confident. She was just using it for the wrong reason, which is to make sure that she never feels confident. So what is that one belief that you are saying, I cannot? Here's what I invite for you to do. I invite you to start making a list. Take a sheet of paper, and this is an exercise that you can do either now or you can do it later, which I will tell you one exercise for each technique. Take a sheet of paper, say one, and say, make it into 2 rows, put a line in the center, and then say column 1, write it as I cannot, and column 2, write it as I can. And start making a list of every single thing that you tell yourself, I cannot, I cannot, I cannot play tennis, I cannot be more organized, I cannot be punctual, I cannot be spontaneous, I cannot express my love and affection in the public, I cannot. Make a list of every single thing that you say, I cannot, and then tell yourself, I have this resource within me. So go back and now on the right side column, write one example of one incident or one situation in your life where you have actually maybe used this to a 1% or 2% or a 5% or maybe up to a 90%. Somewhere this particular resource has had a role in the success that you have really achieved. And remember, you do have that resource in you. As I was working in mechanical engineering in CAD/CAM, I worked in Satyam, I went abroad, I worked in GE for 3 years, I came back after 5 years of my career. I realized that there was a limit to what I could think. I could visualize, my visual spatial intelligence was less. I could visualize what things were. I could visualize how that particular refrigerator looked. I could visualize, but I could not think about how changing the material of one hose pipe would save the company costs, etc., etc. And I said, oh shucks, I'm not creative at all. It was only now that I realized in the current field I worked in, that in that field I just wasn't able to use my creativity, but I'm able to do that right now. So maybe I'm looking for it in the wrong place. I'm trying to apply it in the wrong place. So remember, the first thought, beliefs of excellence. And the most key important belief is I have all the resources available right within me. When you feel or when you think I cannot, stop yourself and ask yourself, did I actually use this somewhere in my life at some point of time? If so, where? And that will help you start overcoming that negative thought. Not just by saying, don't think negative. That's not going to happen. That's the first technique of NLP that will really, really help. Here's the second technique that's called reframing. And that comes along with another word that is called relabeling. Now, the words are pretty much English. So here's what relabeling means. You relabel something. You change the label. And what's the reframing? You reframe something, which is you change the frame of reference. Let me give you how we look at a very logical and a very layman. Given that NLP is all about psychology and there are a lot of big jargon and words, let me give you a very layman English way of looking at reframing. Have you ever taken a photograph? I'm sure you have. Vacation photographs where you wanted to be in a photo together, so you gave it to somebody and that person clicked you, a stranger, you said thank you so much. Today's world, they will click 10 snaps so you can make a choice from the mobile. But earlier when we had the camera rolls, and I too come in a zamana or a world where there were camera rolls initially, it was very important that the photo needs to come out well because I didn't have the option of choosing from 10 shots. But then when the print came out, I would say, oh, small smudge over in this corner. That's when he put his finger at the corner of the camera and then he kind of got that. Now you like the photo so much, you look great, your spouse looks great, or your boyfriend, girlfriend looks great and you want to use that. The scene is beautiful behind. But you have this little smudge in the corner. What do? Either you scan it, crop it, or you buy a frame that kind of covers it. And the moment you change that cover, the photo starts to look a little different. So reframing is just about looking at something from a different perspective. Just viewing it from some other angle. It is like drawing a simple curve right here. And if I ask you whether this curve is convex or concave, those looking from this side will say it is concave, but those who just walk into the other side will say it is convex. So if you want to see it differently, all you need to do is to walk to the other side. So this simple situation that you can change, can you change the way you perceive it, the way you see it, so that the results about it change? That is what reframing is. We'll talk about an example of reframing and how powerful it can be just in a while. Let me also tell you what relabeling means. Let us say there is a bottle right here in front of us and the bottle has a strip, and on the strip there is a word that says Poison. And now if I ask you what does that mean, of course mathematicians may try to say the Poisson equation, etc. But all of us understand that it is poison. You would say, well, that's poison. And I would say, well, there is liquid inside. So what do you think the liquid is? And you say, of course, it's poison. So I'll say, okay, let me change that. So I open the bottle, I throw away the liquid, I wash it, I scrub it, I sterilize it, put it in hot boiling water, and then I pull it out, and then I pour some cough syrup in it. And then I say, now drink it. The label still has poison on it. Would you drink it? How many people will say, I'm still not feeling like drinking it, because you do not believe what all you've seen right now or what I've poured inside, but you believe the label. We attach labels to certain things, and over a period of time, even though we overcome the labels, we never remove those labels. Let me give you an example I see professionally. I do training programs in corporates, and one of the workshops I do a lot is called presentation skills. This is to help managers and leaders stand before people and actually speak using all the visual aids. And I do it in a way that a lot of trainers do, wherein we make them do a presentation, video record it, play it back, and give them one-on-one feedback. And now here's one statement that if I have 15 people in a room attending the program, I will at least have 2 out of that 15 walk in and tell me, Revati, I am not very good in presentation skills. I need to improve. I'll tell them, great, we'll look at some techniques. You know what's surprising? After 6 months, I walk into that company and I see this person nominates themselves again, saying, I'm not very good in presentation skills. I need to improve. Now, when I watch videos from the first time to the 6 months later, I see an improvement. People learn. We learn to use things better. We learn to present better. We learn to speak better. All the actions are happening and all the changes are happening. But there is one thing that is not changing, and that is the label that you've given yourself, that I am not good in presentation skills. And that's what NLP says, that the first thing you need to do before start taking action is you need to first change the label. So before you sterilize the bottle, change the liquid and do everything, first of all, please remove the label that says poison and then put a new label with whatever you actually want to say. and then start working towards it. Otherwise, the label will always stay the same. How many of us remember atom to be the smallest indivisible particle? Come on, our chemistry textbook said that. Atom's divisible. Rutherford divided it. Niels Bohr worked on experiments. It's no longer the smallest indivisible particle. But that's the label. That's the chapa that we've given an atom. Same way, what is the label that you gave yourself? I am lazy. I can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I am not a very meticulous person. I am not very good in speaking before large groups. I don't feel very comfortable talking to strangers. I am somehow not very good at disciplining my children. I just cannot write emails properly. If you give me a long documentation report, that is not something I can do. So we attach labels to ourselves and say, this is something I can do. And we stick with that, right? So it's good to relabel and to start giving it a positive note. Let me tell you one example where I used it in my weight loss. For those of you who've seen that little note that I posted, my friends asked me, tell us how you lost that weight later. First tell me, how did you gain that weight? Couldn't you see where you were actually going? And relabeling is when I started to work on losing my weight. One thing everybody says is take care of your diet. I won't say dieting. I'll say take care of your diet. Stop sugar. Stop fried food. Stop outside food. Stop packaged foods. Oh my God, what do I eat? Now, of course, there may be other options, but I'm so much in the zone of eating everything that you suddenly ask me to change so many things, I can't stop. So I decided I will do one diet change a month. And I said, this month, I will reduce my sugar consumption to 50%. That's it. I won't do any of the other changes. I will still eat samosa when I want to eat. I will still eat pizzas. I will do whatever I want to do. And people say, but Revati, come on. You're still eating all of that. I said, I'm doing one. Let me focus on that one. And the rest of them, I relabel. I don't look at them as problems. I look at them as, this is my fun food for me so that I can actually do this one diet change. I made this a habit for a month. And then the next month, I said, stop sugar. And I still continued eating all of this. The third month, I said, okay, I will not eat cheese more than once in a week. Plus, I will maintain my no sugar. Everything else I will continue eating as it is. Now, what am I doing? I have 25 changes I need to make in my diet for me to actually lose 30 kgs, for me to actually lose the fat I have, for me to actually lose that I do not become what I don't want to be. I cannot make 25 changes at one shot. So what do? You work on one and relabel the other 24 for right now, so that your mind does not keep getting demotivated on what you're not able to do right now. Not because you don't have a belief of excellence, but because realistically, practically, we cannot work on 50 or 100 different things at one time. That's how powerful relabeling can be. How many times are you working on a particular task, and while you're working on it, there is this thought nagging you, but I'm not able to do that, I'm not able to do this, I'm not able to do that. I'm sitting in the office and working, my mind's nagging about not spending time with my kids. I'm sitting at home and spending time with my kids watching a movie, my mind's nagging me about the work I'm not able to do at the office. When you're doing one task and your mind's nagging you about the other one, relabel the second one so that it doesn't do that for you. Simple. Relabeling can be very powerful. Let's look at reframing. You just changed the frame of reference, the entire perspective of reframing. The simplest example of this, and this is an example I would not really suggest for you to use a lot because it's a little humorous, is somebody says, I'm very lazy. And that demotivates. It makes me feel very frustrated, disappointing, and they say, I'm very lazy, right? And then you immediately change the frame of reference that, well, you know what that means? It means I'm stress-free. I don't really go through a lot of stress because I don't take on too much pressure for myself. Now, reframing can be very, very dangerous because you can use it to start feeling good about the things you should not feel good about. So remember, it's very temporary. In that moment, you can reframe it, but you have to get over it and start learning how not to be lazy. It's not a permanent solution, really. One of the best reframing examples I've seen is, of late, I've started running quite a bit. I mean, literally running. And Reliance Trends, there's quite a lot of runs in Hyderabad. And it has a very, very powerful poster. It says, sweat looks good on you. And that's a statement I've been seeing everywhere, saying sweat looks good on you, so run. Now, sweating by perspective, especially those of us in Sriharikota. You remember all the humidity over there, and we kept sweating and sweating and sweating, right? And it used to be like, oh my God, okay? Sweat is not given a very positive inclination in our minds. We feel that if we are sweating, we just feel very chikagan, Mr. in Telugu, feel very frustrated, feel very agitated about it. Now imagine from there, which is why we avoid doing a lot of things that make us sweat. We want to be, and then we back in ACs now, air conditionings now, which is why from there, for this company to actually reframe it saying sweat looks good on you because it's glistening, it glows, it helps your skin to glow. Very powerful reframe of how you look at something like sweat. So when you want to do something and your mind is telling you, it's not that way, reframe it. Your son loves football. You absolutely don't like football. Your daughter loves violin and she's learning and she's playing. You just can't bear to hear the music. But you have to go for your child. So you go for the football match. You go for the violin show. And sitting there, you get a real headache. Trying to focus on the game, trying to focus on the violin, you really get a headache because I just can't enjoy it. Now here's the question. Do not enjoy the violin. Do not attempt to enjoy the violin. Enjoy your daughter who is actually playing it there. Do not try and understand the football and then enjoy the football game. Enjoy your son while he's actually in the midst of that game. Reframe that from the fact that you don't like it to you love your child and you're going for your child. Doing things for the people you love. Doing things that you don't like for the people you love. Reframing is powerful in helping you to actually do it, and also in achieving your own goals. Beliefs of excellence. You have all the resources you need right in yourself. Relabel, reframe. So you can change the perspective of something so that you will be able to do it. Or do I change also the way I label it? Because maybe as an individual I've changed and improved, but I'm still giving myself the old label. Change the label. That's what we call relabeling and reframing. There's a very in-depth on all these topics, and I can go on for an hour about all of these topics, but I'm giving you a glimpse into all of these, and I'll let you know a few books and a few points where you can go and read up on them, or you can always feel free to ping me on them. A third point, and this is a very simple but a very powerful point, is what NLP calls outcomes thinking. Now, it's different from saying goal setting because it says outcomes thinking. How do you think about your particular outcome? Now, for those of you who like to read a little or watch some videos, motivational videos, or talk to people who've been successful, or read some books, or maybe attend some training program, every trainer says set SMART goals. It says specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound goals. I'm not going to talk about that. NLP says outcomes thinking, and the one point in outcomes thinking is what we call evidence. What does that mean? When you set a goal, when I say I'm 103 kgs, I first want to get to 95 kgs. Okay. How will you know that you got to where you want to get to is what evidence means. Means that 3 months down the road, when I actually look at my weight, how will I decide whether I've achieved my goal or not? And the answer everybody will say like, duh, get up on the weighing machine. And if you're measuring 95, then you've achieved it. That's the evidence. What else is an evidence? But you know what? You don't always lose weight like you want to. Sometimes you lose inches. Sometimes you don't lose weight, but instead of walking for 2 kilometers, you're able to walk for 4 kilometers. Sometimes you don't actually lose a lot of weight on the digital scale, but you can fit into that dress that you didn't fit into 1 month back. So there are lots of other evidences that you can use to make you feel that, hey, I've achieved what I want to achieve. So how do I know I have achieved my career goal in the next 1 year? I should get a promotion. I should get the hike. Well, they are not the only things. Words of appreciation that your boss could have given you, right? Or one particular project that you did well and you're able to actually talk to your customer well about that. One particular research that you did, one particular session you attended, one particular paper that you submitted. There are so many different ways that you can decide, have I been successful in my career this year? Relationships. How many of us even think about, did I have a good relationship with the people that I really love? Look for those moments of truth where you actually had positive love, affection from them. Those are moments of evidence that your relationship, whether your spouses or parents or kids, the moments of laughters, these are your moments of evidence that will tell you that, hey, you're actually achieving whatever you want to achieve in these areas. So in every area in life, be it relationships or health or finances or career, you can look for evidences to know that you're being successful, which are different from the usual standard evidences. So usually we only look at the weight on the weighing machine. Usually we only look at a promotion or a hike compared to others. Usually we only look at as long as I am not having any arguments or any problems in relationships. But please make a list. What is the one thing that you want to achieve this year? And make a list and say, list of these are all the evidences I will look for. Every time any of these happen, it means that I am growing positively successful towards this area. Because a lot of times, am I really making a difference in this area is what questions us and is what pulls us down. So before you start off the year, in the year 2018, make a list of where do I want my career to go, and make a list of 15 evidences that if these things keep happening once in a while, I will think my career is going properly. How do I want my health to be? And make a list of 15 things. If these things are happening once in a while, then my health is good. Where do I want to be in my relationships with my parents, with my siblings, with my spouse, with my kids? Now, it might sound a little ridiculous to say where do I want to be, but relationships are the ones we ignore the maximum until it becomes too late. A lot of it might relate to this. And when it becomes too late, then we realize, wish I would have called a little while back. Wish I would have spent a little more time with this person. So you need to take a focus on that and decide what are the 15 things that I want to keep seeing happening, that if these keep happening, my relationships are progressing positively. So this outcomes thinking, a list of evidences, will help you feel that yes, things are going positively in this area. In that case, one failure or one thing that doesn't happen properly will not actually pull you down, will not demotivate you. You will be able to bounce back because you know just about a little 1 week back, something positive really actually happened. So, if you want to practice beliefs of excellence, take a sheet of paper, draw a line in between, 2 columns, and on one line you say, I cannot. Make a list of everything you believe you cannot, and on the right side, make a list of one example at least. It could even be something that happened for just 1 minute, like it happened in the Bandler incident. One example at least where you have used that particular resource. For relabeling and reframing, whenever you have 50 things to do and you want to focus on one and your mind is going to the second one, reframe it so that you would be able to come back to the first one. Relabeling, whenever you want to improve on something, before you start action, first change the way you think about it and then you go ahead and start the action. And then outcomes thinking, evidence. Look at what you want to achieve in life, make a list of 15 things. That will be the evidence that will tell you that's going forward progressively. And you make that 15 not after you achieve it, but today when you decide that that is what you want to achieve. So I want to get into 65 kgs now. I'm at 73. Okay, so what are the 10 things that need to happen in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months so I get there? I have this particular dress I want to fit into and that I should be able to fit into. The day I do that, I progress carefully. I know what my waist measurement is, that has to reduce this much. The day I do that, I'm able to reach there properly. I cannot do certain asanas, I cannot do a chakrasana, my upper arm strength is not enough for me to lift my lower body weight. The day I can do that a little bit more, lift my head a little more, then I'll be able to achieve that over there. Then my weight, the way my weight goes down and I can see a 0.2, 0.3 difference any day, then I'm achieving closer. I'm making a list of 15 points which I will look for as evidence, and every week I will say, did at least one of these happen? It doesn't have to always be just a weight. So what are all the things that you want to look for as proof that you are able to achieve something? And that is what outcomes thinking and evidence is all about. So, I don't know if we will have time for both that we call NLC and Swish, but I would like to take you to a process that we call Swish, and so we're going to do that. And if we have time, we will talk on the neurological levels of change. Else, I will just leave that open and give you a few book details and you can always get back to me. Or I'll just type in a comment on this video later with a link and you can look at it, look up at it a little more. So Swish, when I say swish, it just goes shh, right? So it just goes shh. It's like something's just flying away, something's just going away. And switch is a very powerful technique of NLP that can help us change a habit. Now, there's a concept in neuro-linguistic programming that talks about modalities and submodalities and acuity. Now, keeping all that jargon aside, all the technical languages aside, let's look at the fact that there are senses by which we take in inputs. There are 5 senses, right? We have the sense of seeing that we call visual. Okay, the sense of seeing that we call visual. We have the sense of hearing that we call auditory. We have the sense of touch or feel, that's called feeling, but there's also a technical word called kinesthetic, right? And then we have a sense of smell. I wonder if someone remembers what the sense of smell is. I'll give you 5 seconds, you can type it in. What's the scientific name for the sense of smell? And then I'll just say what it is, if you can type it in the meantime. So the sense of smell is called olfactory, and the sense of taste is called gustatory. However, in life, when we are learning, when we are growing, when we want to unleash our inner potential, when we are talking to ourselves, we usually do not use the sense of smell or the sense of taste unless you're actually, trying to cook something, or when you're going out for eating food, or you're in a profession that cooks, or your profession wherein you taste quite a bit. But for a lot of activities in life where our mind plays around with us, it is what we see, what we hear, and what we feel that makes a lot of difference. So I'm limiting it to 5 senses and not 6. We can leave the 6th one with Bruce Willis for now, or I'll actually still say that even the 6th sense is part of the 5. What is the 6th sense? You say, well, I just saw an image. That's still visual. Or you say, I heard a voice in my head. Well, that's still auditory. Or you will say, I had this gut feeling. Gut feeling is very kinesthetic or feeling oriented, right? So there are 3, which are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. And these are the 3 things that help us visualize something in a particular way. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. For those who are in this video right now and who want to go through this process, I encourage you to just go through the process, to close your eyes for about 5 minutes and go through this process. For those who do not want to go through it right now, go ahead and watch it and feel free to play it back and then actually attempt going through this process. For those who are not online and those who are seeing this later, watch it once, then maybe feel free to actually go through the process, because it's only when you go through the process that you get the experience that you get. And I will leave NLP incomplete if I do not take you through a visualization process that actually includes all the submodalities. Now, for those of you who are used to visualization simply means imagine something and make it happen. The law of attraction talks about it. It says, think positive thoughts, positive things will open up to you. Or the book Alchemist says that if you really want to achieve something, the entire universe will conspire you in helping to achieve it. Or so is Shah Rukh Khan. जब सच्चे दिल से कुछ चाहते हो तो सारा कायनात साजिश करेगा. So there's a lot of things in the last 10 years that have come up that talk about the power of positive visualization. NLP creates a root cause of how all of this started off. Remember, NLP started off in the 1970s, though I got certified in the year 2003 and I've been practicing it for the last 14 years. So this particular technique talks about different aspects of visualization. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'll take you to the 5 minutes and then I'll just tell you some of the key points about that. So I would love for you to close your eyes and to take a deep breath. Closing your eyes is not essential, but the reason why anybody asks you to close your eyes, whether it's meditation or whether it's any other practice, is because eyes distract us quite a bit. And the moment you close them, you're cutting off your biggest sensory input, which means you're cutting off about 50% of the distractions that might actually come to you, which is why people say close your eyes. But it's not really essential for you to close your eyes if you can keep your focus in the zone. So make that choice. Close your eyes if you think it helps you. Keep your eyes open if you think that works better for you. That's the beauty about NLP. What works for you is what you can do. So close your eyes or keep them open and think of one habit that you want to change. One habit that you want to start. It could be getting up at 4 o'clock from tomorrow. It could be I want to start exercising for about half an hour every day. It could be I'm going to read a new book a new book in my profession once a week. It could be I'm going to attend some training in my profession once a month. It could be I'm going to spend 15 minutes more quality time with my kids every day. It could be any area, any one change. And today, 30th December, is a powerful day to make this resolution, because one day after, you have the new year starting. Decide the one thing that you want to change. Start with one. You may have 50 of them you want to change. Start with one. And what do you do with the other 49? Please reframe them for now. Start with the one thing. Now, I'm going to take one example, and I want you to start seeing that image in front of you. Whatever is the change that you want, if it's with your quality time with your kids, start seeing yourself doing that. If it's exercising, start seeing yourself. Create a visual picture in front of you, right in front of you, pretty close to you, of that particular aspect happening. Click a photograph. If you are doing that and somebody clicked a photograph, how would it look? Visualize that. Which means that you have to be a little specific on how it's actually going to look. So visualize yourself doing that. And in that moment, somebody's clicked a photograph. How is it going to look? Please see that. I'll give you about 3 seconds. Start seeing that photograph in front of you. Now, assume that what you have in front of you is a television or your iPad, and you start adjusting the resolution without opening your eyes. If your eyes are closed, keep them closed all through the exercise. If they're open, that's fine. Start by enhancing the brightness. Increase the brightness a little bit. Make the image a little brighter, a little more alive. Start playing around with the colors. The colors got to be vibrant. Vibrant colors, just got to pop off the screen. It has to make you feel like, whoa, wow, awesome colors. Just make them pop off the screen. Start playing around with the colors. Adjust the contrast a little bit so that the image is comfortable for your eyes and it's not too glaring. At the same time, it's not too dull, but it's your optimum comfort zone. And this is how it really gives you a sense of peace. The brightness, the colors, the contrast. Now, start getting the image to move. From a photograph, move it to a video. Make it a video. And start actually watching the movements happening. Add movements. What are you doing? What are they doing? What is happening? What else is happening? If you're exercising, are you around trees? Are the leaves moving? Are the waves moving somewhere, right? Are the other stuff moving in the air? If you're with your kids, what are they doing? If you're sitting and reading a book, attending a program in your area of career, what is actually happening? Start giving a video to that particular photograph so that there is a start to end wherein it actually happens. At least a 2-3 minutes of a video. Start getting movement in. Start getting movement in. Bring the image closer to you, as close to you so that you can start seeing and start being right over there. Right over there. Now, with this visual perspective of an image, now I want you to start increasing the volume on this particular video. Now, from silence, you start hearing things. Start hearing the waves surfing around or the leaves rustling around, the birds chirping, if you're in a workout, that is. Start listening to your kids' laughter, the way they call you, Papa, Mama, Dad, Mom, Amma, Appa, whatever is it that you're used to. Start hearing these particular sounds. Start hearing maybe the light, other music that's playing in the background. Start hearing how your spouse is reacting to this. Start hearing your voice, the other's voice, your inner voice that's telling you how things are. Every single thing in that. If you're in a training session, start looking at what the trainer is saying, other participants are saying. Start hearing the voices that are present and slowly tune up the volume until it's absolutely right, comfortable for you. Not too loud that you go like, whoa, and not too low that you got to strain yourself to actually hear it. Increase the volume. And then slowly make that image completely paranormic, which means like the dome in the planetarium, surround yourself with that particular image entirely engulf yourself and start seeing, hearing, and start seeing what are you feeling. Observe yourself over there and what are you feeling in that moment. Just like you're watching an actor in a movie, just like you watch Amir Khan in Superstar, who hears the girl suddenly start singing Nach De Fira in the beautiful way that he wants it, and he has the surge of emotions coming. Just like you have Chiranjeevi or Rajnikant or Amitabh Bachchan emote the exact expressions that you want them to emote. Start feeling, start getting the sense of the feeling that you as an actor in this particular video are actually feeling, and start seeing, hearing and feeling all of that completely. And take it all in, take it all in, take it all in. Take a deep breath and slowly switch off the TV. Slowly switch off the TV. Now, switch on the TV. Now start visualizing a different image. The image that's happening today. What are you doing today? Obviously, it's not going to be the same as what you want to do. What are you doing today? You're not spending time with your kids. You're not giving time for your career. You're not doing any workouts at all. And start seeing that happening. Start seeing your regular day without that particular item that you want to add in. Start seeing your regular day. Now, as you start seeing your regular day, slowly, I want you to slow down the speed, which means that can you actually bring it down to slow motion, slow motion, slow motion. Decrease the speed in that particular video of your regular day, bring it down to slow motion, until finally it just stops. It just stops right in front of you. And once it stops, start removing the color. Right now, start removing the color. Start removing the color and make it black and white, until it becomes purely black and white. Absolutely no color in the image. Tone down the volume, remove the volume, pull it all the way to 0 that you cannot see anything over there. Push the image a little away from you, a little farther from you, a little farther from you, until you can see that screen a little farther away from you. Distance it enough such that you are outside of the image. Remember that it's you and you in the image. So actually you are not feeling whatever the person is feeling in the image. And in this screen, at the right bottom corner of the screen, make a small dot. The earlier big image that you had of how you're going to be from now onwards, bring that as a small dot and just put that at the end of that screen. And when I say the word swish and also click, when I do that simultaneously, I want you to grab that small dot and to pull that new image, the big panoramic colorful image that you had, to pull it until it gets back into the panoramic stage. Just like you would take a small picture and you would catch the corner of it and you would drag it up so that you would actually increase the size. Just like that. Just like that. So here's you go. Have the earlier image, black and white, no sound, nothing in front of you. The small dot. And when I say the word swish with a click, I want you to pull it such that it goes back to the panoramic image. And we're going to do that. 1, 2, 3, swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. And pull it up all the way and overcome the earlier image and feel that completely engulfing you, and see, hear and feel all the feelings that you do about what you actually want to achieve in that particular area, and stay with that particular feeling. Now, as you stay with that feeling, take in all the feelings and feel good about it. Slowly, I want you to get that image closer and closer and closer and closer to you from all sides around your head and into your brain. Slowly, completely take it inside of you, within you, completely within you. And stay with the image inside of you, with the video inside of you. And as you continue to breathe, slowly, if your eyes are closed, keep them closed. If they're open, keep them open. But start becoming aware of surroundings around you. Slowly Start moving your arms, your legs, and start becoming aware of how they move. And as and when you're comfortable, slowly, with your hands over your eyes, gently just open your eyes and come back. I'll give you about 2 seconds. So, here's how swish works. It's a mind technique. You could do swish 100 times a day and then not get up off your ass, and nothing is going to help you. But for those of us who actually want to take action and are willing to take action but are finding it tough to be consistent because our mind keeps stopping us, swish really helps us quite a bit. How does it help? Usually what we kind of see a lot is what we do quite a bit. The things that we don't want to do, we see them as big images, huge pictures, videos, bright, lively all around. And what we actually want to do is one small little corner somewhere. The visual, auditory, kinesthetic sub-modalities, how big is the picture, how loud is the picture, how does it make you feel, are all very, very far away for what we actually want to achieve. And for the one that we are doing today that we really don't like, it's staring right at our face and gone day in and day out. What switch does is it switches and exchanges these two and creates the current sub-modalities, the current feelings, visualization, etc. of the image that you don't want doing and moves them on to what you want doing. So your mind starts to process the second one a lot more than the first one. And doing this continuously helps you to constantly keep taking that in. And you do this 3 to 5 times a day. And let me tell you, by the end of a week, you will feel guilty enough that you will take the first step towards that particular activity. So swish is an interesting and a powerful technique if you actually want to start off good habits, if you actually want to change a particular habit, if you want to stop a bad habit that you want to do. Have the image of today and have the visualization of how you want to be tomorrow. How is it different from regular visualization? I'm not just saying listen to the leaves, the flowers, the trees. In fact, if you realize, I have not told you one single thing about how those images need to look. You decided them. I have not told you about should it be brighter or darker, what colors should be there, what should people keep speaking, what should you hear, what you should feel. I have not told you any of them. NLP does not tell you what to see, what to hear, what you feel, because the belief is that you have all the resources within yourself and you will know what to feel, what to hear and what to see. Because somebody may see it in a bright red color, somebody may want to see it in green, somebody may want to see a sunrise, but somebody may want to see clouds. How do I know what actually works for you? So I will let you make a decision about what you want to feel, and you create the image that you really want to create. That will help you take that next step forward. So we'll pause with these 4 techniques here today. We take a quick recap. First is the beliefs of excellence, especially one belief is that I have all the resources that I need right within myself. And take a sheet of paper, draw a line in between. On the left, write down I cannot and make a list of all the things that you think you cannot do. And on the right side, start looking for one example in your entire life today. And if you can't think of an example, let me tell you, call up the school friends. Call up college friends, call up the people who've been in your life with you, call up your spouse, talk to your spouse, not call up, right? Okay, talk to your spouse, call up your parents, call up people who've known you in your life and ask them, hey, give me an example of some incident where I've used this here. I would have used it, right? Because sometimes you may not remember, but they will remember. And make a list of at least one incident wherein you've used that resource, so that you don't say I cannot, because you can, you're just choosing not to. Second, reframing, relabeling. Reframing, when you want to do 50 things and you're doing one of them and your mind is wandering to the other 49, reframe the other 49 so that they don't come and become an obstacle for this one thing. Relabeling. Before you start taking action on improving something, begin that by actually first deciding to change the label that you have, just like moving it from poison and putting water or cough syrup, and then start taking the action so your mind starts looking at the positive thought. And then outcomes thinking, evidence. Look at the top things you want to achieve in the next 1 year. And instead of just keeping one thing, I'll achieve this when actually that happens to me. Instead, look at 15 evidence points that every time these 15, 20 are happening, it means I'm progressing positively, successfully in that particular area. And make a list of 15 of them for every area so that you know there's a little bit of accomplishment feedback you can get. You know that something or the other is happening positive in that particular area. And last but not the least, swish. You might not have somebody like me sitting next to you who would be able to guide you to the process just like this. But you can use the video. And the video is pretty neutral. So whatever it is, though the examples are in 3 areas, I've given examples in terms of the health, in terms of relationships, and in terms of career. But whatever it is, be it financial, the words in the video, the words and the instructions, apart from the examples, you can use for any particular goal or anything that you want to really change. So use the video and feel free to go through the process and do that 3 to 5 times a day so that your mind constantly reminds yourselves of the positive. There are lots of other techniques of NLP. There is neurological levels of change, NLC. There's pattern interrupt. There's representational systems. There is rapport building. There is what we call reticular activating system, which is RAS, which is a part of our brain that says that if you constantly keep reminding yourself of something, that thing might happen. It's like ladies, maybe the time when you've actually been pregnant, you suddenly see a lot of pregnant women around. You bought a particular make of a car, you suddenly see so many of that make of car around because your mind suddenly starts getting attracted or starts noticing that particular activity which is happening in your life right now. A lot of these techniques, they're very powerful, they're very interesting, and I would love to be able to help you through more at this point in time. However, looking at the time, I'm just hoping that you've been able to take away something from today and hoping that you would be able to use it in your life. I want to thank the organizers, I want to thank the Alumni Association, and I very respectfully want to thank every single senior who even felt that I had something that will be able to benefit the entire group. I look at all of you having achieved so many things in life in so many years, so many accolades, and it just feels great to be able to contribute something to this group, to actually be able to say, hey, maybe it will change one little thing in your lives or in the lives of your families right now. So a lot of gratitude and a lot of respect for actually helping me to be able to do this. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thanks to everyone who logged in. And I hope I've been able to do justice to what you've really been expecting. Thanks a lot. Signing off. This is Realty. Bye.